This is the second part of our parametric equations. Yesterday we graphed. We took our parameter, our time constraint, and we plugged into the x equation, we plugged into the y equation, we plotted those points, and then we drew our curve. And we always have our orientation. Remember, you have the arrows that tell you which way you're going. What does it mean to eliminate? Okay, get rid of. So we're going to get rid of, that's perfect. The parameter. What letter was our parameter? T. We're going to get rid of T. That is what we're focusing on now. You're going to take your parametric equations, which are two equations that have three variables, and you're going to get them into what's called rectangular, which means an x and a y. Okay, so let me show you. I have two examples I want to do with you guys, but this is exactly what it looks like. You're going to take your parametric equations, which would be here. You're going to solve for t in one of the equations. It doesn't matter which equation you solve for t in. I personally always look at the one that looks like it would be easier to solve for. Then whatever you do, so like if you notice here, they solved this equation for t. You see it right there? Then in the other equation, it's just substitution. You take that value and you plug it in for the t, and then you solve. You are eliminating the t. You're solving one equation for t, and then you plug that into the other. So write these two examples down. Here's the first one. Okay, looking at these two equations, you have an x equals and you have a y equals equation. Which one is simpler? The x equals, correct? Because it only has one t, it's not squared or anything. So I personally would say I'm going to take that equation and I'm going to solve for t. So if I was going to try to get t all by itself, what would I do? What would I do, guys, to get t by itself? Okay, we're going to subtract 4. Good. So I subtract 4. So I have x minus 4 equals negative 2t. And then what? Divide both sides by? Divide by negative 2. So I divide by negative 2. So I get here t equals x minus 4 over negative 2. Does anybody have any questions about how I did that? Yes or no? No? So now what am I going to do with this? I take what I solved t for, and I do what with it? I plug it into the other equation. All right? You're going to have to do some algebra, guys. It's not going to be like the easiest thing in the world, but it's just computation. So you have y equals, I have 3 plus 6. Instead of t, what am I writing? X minus 4 over negative 2. Perfect. Then I have minus 4 times what? X minus 4 over negative 2 squared. Okay? So now we're just going to algebra, guys. Think about this. All right? Let's try to work smarter. Not any harder. So y equals 3 plus. If I was going to multiply right here, the 6 times the x minus 4 divided by negative 2, can I simplify anything? I'm multiplying fractions together. I can't simplify anything? Can I simplify the 6 and the negative 2? Yeah. How many times does negative 2 go into 6? How many? Negative 3. Okay, so now what do I do with that? Negative 3. I distribute. Good. So I have plus negative 3x plus 12, right? Then I have minus 4. What do I have to do before I go ahead and do any simplifying or anything like that? I have to square. Okay, so think about what this looks like, guys. The square goes to the top and to the bottom. How many x minus 4s do I have? 2, so it's going to be x minus 4 times x minus 4 on the top. And then what happens on the bottom? Negative 2 squared is what, guys? Okay, 4. Everybody with me? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to do a little simplifying before I multiply. What can I simplify right here? I can simplify the 4s, can't I? If there's a 4 in a numerator, guys, and a 4 in a denominator, can you simplify it? Yes, so this becomes a -1, and this becomes nothing. So now I just have a linear equation. I don't have any denominators or anything like that. So I'm going to rewrite and I'm going to multiply. So I have 3 minus 3x plus 12. Everybody with me? Then I have a minus sign here, and I'm going to keep my parenthesis because I have to multiply those two together. What is x minus 4 times x minus 4? X squared minus 8x plus 16. You guys agree? X times x is x squared, then x times -4 times, and then plus -4 times x is minus 8x, and then -4 times -4 is 16. Okay. Now, before I can do any more combining, what do I have to do with that negative sign? I have to distribute it. It's got to go there, there, and there. So I'm going to write everything out. I have 3 minus 3x plus 12 minus x squared plus 8x minus 16. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody not understanding where I'm going with any of this? Just algebra 1. So now we're going to write our equation in standard form. I have y equals, what should come first? What should come first? The negative x squared. So I have negative x squared. Okay, that's gone. Now what? So I have a negative 3x and a positive 8x gives me 5x. And then I have 3 plus 12 minus 16, minus 1. So this is what we're left with. Have we eliminated the parameter? Yes. Is t there anymore? No. So what you're going to do is, you could have, guys, if you wanted to, which I don't think it's a good idea, you could have tried, come on. You could have tried to solve that equation for t. Would that have been easy? No, because you have a t squared and a t. I would go with whatever equation is simpler. Solve for that, and then you're just algebraically plugging into the other one. You do have to remember how to compute. That is an issue, but when you are done, there should be no t's left in your problem. Questions? All right, copy down the next one. Okay, first of all, we want to eliminate the parameter. We're going to get rid of t. So which equation looks more conducive for us to solve for t? The x one. All right, you guys agree? I want to get this all by itself. So algebraically, how would I do that? What's my first step? I'm going to add 3. Good. So x plus 3 equals negative 2t. And then what? Divide by negative 2. So t equals x plus 3 over negative 2. Okay? Now what do I do with that? I'm going to take this and plug it in there and there. Same kind of problem that we just did, guys. I have y equals 2 times, instead of t, I'm going to say x plus 3 over negative 2 squared plus 2 times x plus 3 over negative 2 minus 5 over 2. Can we do any simplifying just the way this is written right now? What can we do? What can I cross out? The 2's. In which term? The first or the second? Not in both. Can't do both yet. The second one. I can simplify here. This 2 and this 1. But what do I have to do with the sign? This has to be a negative, okay? Since there was a minus on the bottom. How come I can't just go ahead and cross out the 2's in the first term? Because it's squared. I have to square first. So I have y equals 2 times, I'm going to write this out, x plus 3 times x plus 3. And then what does my bottom become? 4. Minus x plus 3. Then I have minus 5 over 2. Yeah, well, I should keep that in parentheses. That's what I meant to say I was going to do. Thank you. All right, so now let's simplify. What simplifying can I do in that first term? This is 2 over 1. And that's x plus 3 times x plus 3 over 4. So what can I cancel? Okay, the 2 becomes a 1, and this becomes a 2. All right, so on the bottom here, I have y equals, I'm going to go ahead and multiply that out. X squared plus 6x plus 9 over 2. Now, what did Anna just say we have to do with that negative sign here? Well, you know what? Let's leave it for a second. X plus 3 minus 5 over 2. How can we make this a little easier on ourselves? Do you guys like to deal with, talk to me. Multiply the entire equation by 2. What would serve the purpose algebraically to just multiply the entire equation by 2? You're getting rid of the denominators. At the end, you're probably going to have to divide by 2 or something like that. But to get rid of the denominator, it's going to be helpful here. So if I multiply here, 2 times y is 2y equals. If I multiply here, what happens to 2 in the numerator, 2 in the denominator? It just cancels. So you have x squared plus 6x plus 9. If I multiply 2 here, this becomes minus 2 times x plus 3. And then if I multiply 2 here, it just becomes minus 5. We have eliminated dealing with a denominator. If you guys have a denominator, if you want to keep the denominator, fine. But if you don't want to, you can multiply the entire equation by something to get rid of it, just as long as you do it from one side to the other. So we have 2y equals x squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 2x minus 6. Yeah? And then minus 5. We distributed the negative 2. And now we can just clean it up. So I have 2y equals, I start off with x squared. What can I combine? Positive 6x and a negative 2x gives me what? Plus 4x. I have 9 minus 6. 3 minus 8. I can't read my writing. That's a 5. I just wrote it bad. So sorry, 9 minus 6 is a 3 minus 5. Negative 2. All right, and then what's the last thing we should do? So it says y equals. Divide everything by 2. So you have y equals x squared plus 4x minus 2 over 2. All right, question here. Can I simplify these 2's? Could I cross them out? Mathematically, am I allowed to do that? No. Guys, remember, there's no divorce in algebra. Plus and minus signs are hold things together unless it is being multiplied. It's on the outside or something like that, or if every single term has a 2. But that's what you have to do is just leave it. Now, the hardest thing you guys are going to have to do is basic algebra 1, because you're going to have a fraction. Some of you are going to try to deal with a fraction, which is fine. If you don't mind doing that, that's fine. But if I were you, anytime you have a fraction, you have a denominator, that not everything has the same denominator, just multiply through and get rid of it. Does that make sense? Okay, your homework, guys, is due in the morning, but you just have to do it as a PDF. It's a couple of these and a couple of graphing. It's very, very simple, very straightforward.